Children of the Corn is one of Stephen King's short stories that has stuck with me long after I read it. It's a very brief story, but it paints such vivid imagery. From the unhappy couple that serves as our main characters, the nightmare children who blindly follow their god, and the supernatural force referred to as He Who Walks Behind the Rose. Oddly, I had somehow forgotten just how large a role that last one plays in the story, thinking he was mostly referenced and never really appeared. I think I'm going to blame my memories of the movie mixing in with my memories of the story. Regardless, taken on its own, this story is an excellent depiction of horror that is just close enough to reality to send chills down your spine. The children are just so gleeful in their murderous ways, and we hear just enough about their origins and religion to make us want to know more. It also has an unhappy ending, which I think you should know by now that I really love. I highly recommend it. Before I talk about the 1984 film that most people are familiar with, there was technically an adaptation that existed before it. It's called Disciples of the Crow, and it's a short indie film. Stephen King allows film students to adapt his films for the cost of $1 whole. A few of these short films were collected in volumes on videotape called the Night Shift Collection. You can find copies for cheap on Amazon or eBay, but if you don't have a working VCR anymore, you can also find this film on YouTube. It starts off as a fairly faithful adaptation, pulling lines and scenes directly from the story. The reason for the name change becomes evident in the introduction. My guess is it was easier for them to cast more adult actors, and so they eliminated the idea that the followers were killed at 19. Another more minor difference is that instead of just seeing the cut throat of the boy they run over in the road, the weapon that was used to kill him is also left behind. It becomes a replacement for the crucifix they find on him in the story. It remains faithful until the moment at the church, after which the couple manages to get away. My guess is the story ends so soon because of budget limitations or something similar. While the acting and direction are only passable, it's not painful to watch like some low-budget indie films are. I'd recommend Stephen King fans checking it out. The 1984 adaptation is the one most people are familiar with, even if they've never read the story. Stephen King originally wrote a script adapting the story, but they ultimately rejected it and made their own. They attempt to flesh out the story by showing us the perspective of two children in the town. Actually seeing the day in which the children slaughter the adults is a perfect thing to add. The problem is that our lead boy, Job, is played by Robbie Kiger, who is absolutely terrible. We have to sit through his narration as well as seeing him and his sister be at opposition to the other kids in the town.
That's when Sarah started drawing these pictures.
I don't mind the idea of kids who don't agree with their religion. The story has one such character toward the end. I just wish they could have picked kids with actual talent. It makes the movie really painful to watch. The one kid I thought was really good was Isaac, but the more the film went on, I started to have a sneaking suspicion, and it turns out I was right. Isaac is played by John Franklin, an actor with growth hormone deficiency who was actually 25 when this movie was filmed. So of course he's good. The other lead teen is played by Courtney Gaines, better known for being the guy who cut in on George and Lorraine's dance at Enchantment Under the Sea, and the slack-jawed son in The Burbs. He's passable, though he does lean toward overacting at times. Our adult leads are played by Peter Horton and Linda Hamilton. Hamilton is nowhere near the strong woman she played in the Terminator films. She's actually quite weak by comparison. Horton is a serviceable lead, not really bringing anything to the role, but not really ruining it either. Horton's character is also a doctor in this one, which seems to be done so we can quickly recognize that the boy they ran over was killed, and killed recently.
Blood starts to coagulate in 4 minutes. When I went to get the suitcase, it was still fresh.
The one thing the movie does right is paint us a good picture of the children's religion. We see Isaac preach to them, and witness a ceremony leading up to one of the 19-year-olds being sacrificed. But from there it gets a little strange, creating a dissension between Isaac and Malachi for no real reason that I can tell. Both Isaac and Malachi are evil, so there's no real side to root for. Their argument seems to come down to, we wait and sacrifice, versus, we kill them now! It's not really an argument. The children aren't even really a threat. They manage to capture Linda Hamilton, but whenever they attack Horton, he always gets away without any damage. They tend to wave their weapons menacingly, but never actually attack. He should have been dead long before the end of the film, but the children are ridiculously weak. He Who Walks Behind the Rose has a presence in the film, but unfortunately that which comes off so wonderfully creepy in the story comes up horribly cheesy here. I think a large part of it is the music that accompanies these scenes. While I understand that they have to use cheap effects, the tinny synthesizers and the children's choir voices just sound way too cheesy. That stays true all the way until the end, where they supposedly kill the demon. It's no big surprise that the movie rejects the unhappy ending of the story and puts a happy one in its place. In the story, the couple are so miserable that they really deserve the unhappy ending they get. Here we see them make it out okay, along with the two good kids. I'm okay enough with that, but then this happens.
Guys, want to come live with us for a couple days? Hmm?
How about a week?
Okay.
How about a month?
No. All right.
Could you be any more ridiculous and cheesy? About the only reason I could recommend the film to you is if you want to see John Franklin's performance, as he really does a great job playing the creepy preacher. Beyond that, it's a lot of bad child acting rubbish. Somehow, despite this, they have made at least 7 sequels to this film already. Seeing as how they get further and further away from the original story, I won't be covering them. I mean, seriously, eating possessed corn makes you evil? Okay. I'll leave those up to Noel. Good luck, my friend.